Hello and welcome to my group discussion. We weren't able to do the entire discussion as a group due to everyone not being able to meet at the same exact time, but here I am doing it solo, going through step two for meet and discuss, starting with part one, discuss the lecture content. In week one of the class, some of the lecture content that really stuck out to me was just the in-depth definitions, and that really spoke to me with the dynamic media definition, as sometimes it can be troubling trying to define exactly what dynamic media is. But in week one we went into it in the lecture section, and the part that really spoke to me was actually at the very end, and it was defined as even if something isn't moving or contains any audio, it still can be defined as interactive media if um, the element or the asset is still changeable by or affected by time. And this can mean a lot of things. This can be a calendar on a website if it isn't counting down by seconds. If it just changes by day, then it gets updated every day, and that counts as dynamic media. But also I started to relate it a little bit to our mastery journal. Although the mastery journal itself isn't dynamic, which I'm taking back partially now because it does have the animations when you do scroll everything down. But where I was going with that is that although it is a static page, it can still be updated and or changed. So that means it's affected by time. So that in essence, it means it's dynamic. Um, Going on to week two, further discussing lecture content. For week two, in the research category, um, what really stuck out to me throughout the lecture was our teacher defining what needs to be on a letterhead, what needs to be on your postcard mailer. And she always honed in on research, research, research. That your envelope needs to be mailable. When I designed mine first, it was a dark blue envelope, nearly black, with white text on it. And because of that white text, she went into detail talking about how the OCR, which basically goes in and it reads the address. It won't be able to read the address because white ink doesn't actually exist. It just outlines, it leaves like an outline. And printers, wherever you go, unless it's a very high value printer, it's going to leak and you're not going to be able to read the addresses. And your client that just spent a bunch of money having the envelope designed isn't going to be happy now that nothing can be mailed out. So the week two content uh, really helped me just really research the elements themselves, such as the letterhead and the envelope. Going into week three, I'd like to discuss when the teacher talked about adjusting for contrast, um, for outside for outside for the outside assets of your brand. For example, like a billboard, a poster. As if something's going to be hung up outside, you have to determine how the light will affect the colors, if some contrast will need to be either increased or decreased. And I really liked that part of week three's lecture. Week four, she spoke our teacher, she spoke about higher level thinking towards the end. I want to say it was the Monday discussion, and Miss Kratz spoke about higher level thinking and how she's happy that she's seeing it in some of our work. But what I really wanted to talk about for the higher level thinking was something that actually related to my portfolio. And it relates to the higher level thinking because of that lecture, I was sitting down and I was thinking about some of my personal projects for my portfolio, and I kept thinking like higher level thinking. How can this be executed? You know, um, and how can you really make it be known that there was higher level thinking thrown into this? And I feel like it's higher level thinking is more of something that's more subtly noticed or immediately noticed rather than you go through and through and then you're like, oh, okay, because that higher level thinking is either it's shown to you like the FedEx logo and you're like, oh wow, there is an arrow in the middle of it. So it's kind of like you just noticed it versus like um, something that's noticed immediately. Let's say that higher level thinking is just noticed on a logo animation where it's a metaphor that fits into the logo well, just for proof of theory. But what I was getting to there was that higher level thinking. I was creating a personal project for my portfolio, and it was a F1 brand called Way Too Fast. But the way F1 cars can get an edge on winning is their weight, as in how much they weigh. And I went from altering the name from Way Too Fast to WEIGH Too Fast. And um, because of that lecture, it really had me thinking like, how can I add higher level thinking into this? And moving into part two, how has your view as a designer changed since? I'll just combine week one and two. Week one with the lectures, and week two with the lectures as well. Week two being on researching your components, but also week one, the definitions of the types of media. I feel like these two kind of go hand in hand because if you don't know exactly what you're creating or exactly what's being shown to you, it can be misinterpreted and something in the future could go wrong. And same thing with the research element. As if you're creating an envelope, but it's black, it's not going to hold up in the mailroom and it's not going to be able to be shipped out. So I feel like really honing in on what you're looking at, knowing what it is 110%, whether it's dynamic, interactive, or whether you're going and creating an envelope, you have to know which color it can and cannot be. And the same goes for the text. And I mean, the date, the addresses, the space for the space for the stamp. So my view on the as a designer's changed on this because it's making sometimes I feel like design is just as much of a science as it is an art. And I get that notion because there's so many rules that are set in place, but a lot of it is also creative. So my view on design, although I knew it always um, included foundations and rules, it's really making like throughout the master's degree, it really makes me see of design be much just as much as a science as it is a art. And that's how my view has changed from week one to week two. And week three and week four changed my view as a designer since because I combining week three and week four. Week three was the contrast outside for certain assets such as billboards or posters, and the week four was higher level thinking. I think those also go hand in hand, just as week one and two did, because when adjusting contrast outside for a billboard, on top of that, you also have to know where the billboard is, and that deals with that higher level thinking. As if your billboard's right in front of a bridge, but it's awfully placed so that a third of the billboard is cut off. You have to in a way make up for that as a designer. If it's not in a well lit area or if it's in an overlit area, you too have to make up for that as a designer. So that's also shown, reflecting onto the earlier weeks that you have to do your research on where the billboard's going, um, what's the weather like around it, what's the weather conditions going to be up for the time that you have the billboard up. And I think that pairs hand in hand with that higher level thinking, as if you know all of those things and you do all your research beforehand, then there's going to be nothing stopping you unless it's unforeseen events, because you have that higher level of thinking, you're already ready to go. And part two, there's more questions. How has the research or learning material helped you better understand to develop a brand identity? Well, first off, the research has really helped me develop a brand identity through, first off, finding out the exact dimensions, finding out also just things I didn't know before, such as reading in books. And they reference so many um, major brands and kind of dissect what they do right and also what they do wrong. And the two books that I have been reading have been Smashing Logo Design: The Art of Creating Visual Identities by by Hardy, and The Graphic Design Process by Scholos and N. Waddell. I've been reading those two books, and they've highlighted the strengths but also the weaknesses of the major brands, which has really helped me just figure out what I can use to my strength and what is gonna be weakness towards my brand, My Head Aloud. And the learning materials helped me better understand and how to develop a brand identity, as well as my brand identity would be incomplete if I was to submit a black or dark blue envelope. So learning all these things that are needed for the essentials has really helped me grow as a designer and better understand how to develop a brand identity. This will help me as a designer in the future, just to not make the same mistakes as I made today or throughout this class. As going through that, it almost seems as if it was a rookie mistake to make an envelope dark blue or black. And I don't want to make that mistake again. And it's going to better help me as a designer, um, being able to avoid that, but also teach that to someone if they needed to know why it can't be made a certain color, etc. So not only is it going to help me, but it's going to help me be a better designer, as I know it's right. And I can uh, lend that information to someone if needed. So I'm just very happy that I was able to learn that. And how has the learning material changed your perspective about the industry? My perspective about the industry hasn't been changed much from the learning material. Um, Besides the fact, well, I guess it's actually kind of major how my view of the industry has changed. It's major because it's whenever you're given a job from a job from a client, especially if you're not going through an agency and it's just working with you one on one, they don't know these things and they expect you to know them. And making that mistake on that envelope and Miss Kratz just being able to bring it out like that quickly, like, whoa, you shouldn't be doing this. It changed my view on the industry, as wow, there are certain rules such as the OCR, how I has to go through that and to be able to read the address that I didn't even know were applicable to what I'm doing, like here on Illustrator and Photoshop. So my view of the industry's changed because you need to be a lot more aware. And challenges encountered. This is part three of step two. Discuss the challenges encountered while completing your brand projects in this course. How did you overcome these challenges? Challenges I discovered while completing the projects in this course were time. I've been dealing with some stuff personally, mourning a lot, and grieving a lot. But uh, time has really been a hard hitter for me this semester, from catching flights to just being able to do everything, um, catching flights to go see family, um, because of what happened. But this month has really been difficult just because of time. But I was able to overcome these challenges by staying true to my production schedule, even if 30 to 45 minutes were shaved off because I wasn't able to get it included in that day. Building those little mountains instead of just scaling a giant one has really made it smooth. I mean, taking a little mountain every single day instead of like, okay, I missed Monday, Tuesday, time to hit it hard Wednesday. No, doing those little mountains every single day has been awesome. As you know, in the other months, like the previous months, maybe I wasn't able to do it Tuesday because I have work, and I wasn't able to do it Friday because I also have work. And then, you have to go to the gym, and then, you have church. You have all these other things in your life that you have to go do: work, social life, church. And having that schedule and me write it down, knowing I'm actually capable of putting this time aside, I stuck to it, and I haven't had any issues um, sticking to it, really. I mean, sometimes there's 30, 45 minutes shaved off, but these challenges were overcome just because of the making of the schedule. And honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going to continue this in the future classes. So thank you for that. And that wraps up my 15-minute discussion, as the group was supposed to meet for 45 minutes. But again, we weren't able to meet on because of not everyone being able to attend the meeting all at the same time. So I guess we're all hitting it solo. Thank you, Ms. Kratz, for this course, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.